Well, hello! Welcome to Drawing with Fire. I'm Valarie, your neighborhood pyrography artist. We'll be joined with hubby. Hope Coop. Alright, today we are varnishing. We got 3 pieces to do. We are going to start with the smallest one. So, every time I go to varnish, when I'm done with a piece, the first thing I do is spray it with 2 coats of workable fixative. Well, this is fixative, not necessarily workable fixative. Workable fixative looks like this, which is what I've used for a long time. Totally good to use, doesn't cause any issues. But for this batch, I've tried this one, which claims that it doesn't dissolve the whites and lights. It has UV light absorbers and stabilizers. So this says it's for both the workable and final protection. So what workable means is this tends to be used for graphite, carbon, pastels, chalks. And what happens is you spray it on your piece of paper. It can allow you to have more tooth so you can put more layers on it. Although it's not too awfully much. But it keeps it, the main reason is to keep it from smearing. Okay? So the reason I use it is because either I have white on here or I want to make sure I lock down any carbon. Even though I've wiped this off a bunch of times, things can happen. So whether it's for color, to keep the color from smearing as I'm brushing on my next layer, which is my most important layer, and that is my Liquitex varnish, I use gloss. I prefer to use gloss. I've talked to Minwax about this, and the reason I prefer gloss is when you use semi-gloss or matte, they put in a additive to cut the sheen, and I don't want that. If you angle your piece right, you won't get the glare. Oh, there's hubby.
I'm sorry, I thought you were in the bedroom.
Oh,
I was waiting for you to come by, and I was thinking I left you.
I was in the kitchen.
And I saw the time, and I was like, maybe
you should check.
Let's check.
All right. So all of the pieces have 2 coats of this fine art fixative, which I have linked down in the description. Now I am going to use a actual brush. I gotta remember where the camera is, because with the Liquitex it tells you not to use foam brushes. So I have a brush that's specific to varnish.
Andrea says, "Hi Val and Jason. I wasn't planning on missing this week's class.
Well, you're not, because you're here.
I've been painting and working out to build up my strength." Good job.
Good job.
Me too.
Do what makes you feel good.
Wow.
What?
Well, just off a glance, that kind of looked like a photo.
Well, in all fairness, technically, it is a moving photo right now.
Do you mind if I curse, Andrea?
Have a paper towel nearby in case you need.
Smart ass.
Well, it's the only ass to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
Alright. So we're going to do the first coat. I'm starting with this one because by the time we're done with the other 2, I'm hoping this will be dried enough that I can put another coat. There'll be a minimum. I foresee 4 coats for this one, 3 to 4 coats for the Grand Canyon, and Mama Bear is going to take the longest, and she's going to have at least 4 coats. And I have to maneuver her differently. I normally don't varnish in my studio, but this is where the cameras are. It's the only way I can get it done where you guys can see it. So that's why we're here in the studio. So what I would like you to pay attention to is watch how the colors change, even if it's just slightly. And I've got my pieces sitting on foam so they're not directly on the paper, and that's just to keep drips from, if drips happen, it'll drip off. And this piece of foam here is smaller than my board, and the purpose of that is so nothing sticks to it. Ask me how I know that one. I've had sticking before, so excuse me, that's how I know. So always brush on in the direction of your grain. My grain goes left, right, so that's how I'll be brushing this one on. The Liquitex says not to shake, so I won't shake, but I will swirl. I'm not going to shake it hard because I don't want bubbles. That's the main thing. And this is an 8-ounce bottle. And I've already done multiple varnishes with this in the past, but we're still up here. And I really want you to see how little I need to apply. This is self-leveling. Make sure there's no crispy stuff on the top that will fall into my piece. Oh, see, I knocked that off and don't want this on my piece. So we got that. See, do I need to wipe it off? Do my swirl. Now, there may be some places that don't, because with burning, especially when you burn dark, or really, well, we'll see it. There might be some areas where the varnish doesn't take on the first layer. That's okay. If you've applied enough, don't mess with it. Don't apply any more. You'll get it on the next round. And this says allowing at least 3 hours in between coats. But here in Arizona, I tend to only need to wait 45 minutes to an hour. Make sure your board's clean. There's no stuff hanging around on it. I sprayed this a couple of days ago, so dust happens. Make sure that's cleaned off. And I'm just going to do, and you can overdo it. I'm just going to add varnish to about half. That's about all I'm going to do for now. Now my brush is a little wet because I washed it to make sure it was good to go. But that will actually, because damp wouldn't exactly be the right word. But slight damp keeps the brush from soaking in the varnish first, and it allows us to brush it on. It's going to appear cloudy at first, totally normal. Try where you can as much as possible to overlap your strokes a little bit. I'm only going to do one more pass across the top. Make sure.
Oh, Greg's here.
Hey, Greg.
You're not that late, Greg.
Nah, we just started. The good thing about this Liquitex is it's self-leveling. It's got UV protectant. Wipe off my edge. Make sure I don't have anything dripping. Oops. Alright. Put this down. I tend to angle and bounce the light to see if there's any areas I've missed. And like right here, I did. Yeah, I'm having a couple of areas that are like, I don't want to go. I do not want to work this too much. Sometimes you just have to let it be. It'll be fine. And I'll show you what I mean. If I can get the light to bounce on the wood. There's going to be some areas, like down at the bottom, that haven't quite taken it yet. It's totally fine, because we want a light coat. There's some at the top. Totally fine. We are going to move this over, but look at the color. It's already gotten deeper. I'm going to move this, bring in the next one, very, very carefully. And that's another reason I use the foam. If we get, you know, some companies use a lot of foam when they ship stuff. I use the foam, and it really helps allow me to move. There we go. Let me back this out a little bit. It allows me, if I need to move, I can. Let's see here. I know there's a glare, and I'm sorry about that. There's only so far I can move things. Stay light. Stay light. Alright, you're just not going to do it. I'm going to make sure this is cleaned off. No dust. Again, watch the color. Now with this piece, the grain is going this way, so that's how I'm going to apply it.
Greg says, I've seen multiple Liquitex. Which one exactly? Is it UV rated, please?
Yep, it is archival, permanent, and on their website it says it's also light fast. I'm looking to see if the bottle says it. I have it linked down in the description. But this is, that's the one I use. Swirl it a little bit. Again, this has 2 coats of the Fine Art 1374 fixative. And another reason to use the fixative is when the varnish touches the wood, it darkens the wood, and the varnish, or the fixative, keeps it from going dark. Alright, get my brush re-wet. I might have to lay down a little bit more because it is a bigger piece. If you notice, I'm not using a whole lot, and by sprinkling it on, sometimes it helps to move it around a little bit, and then make sure you get all the if you're just dipping in a can of varnish, your brush really soaks up a lot. This allows it to stay thinner. And I won't worry about varnishing the edge until later. Let's see here. I'm looking. Start off the edge, end at the edge, coming off the edge. Same with when you spray on the fixative. Now the bear is going to take us more time, and I'm only going to be able to do one side of the bark at a time. Excuse me. Alright, how to do this.
He says thanks.
I gotta move.
Am I in your way, first and foremost?
No, just don't.
Don't move.
Yeah, don't move.
Don't throw my head back.
Don't throw your head back. I'm just gonna glue you to her.
I'll just be part of the expedition.
You'll just be part of it.
Would you like to ask about the Pyrography? I'm on temporary loan.
Move this.
I don't mind so much, except when they turn the lights off in the convention center.
You'll notice the more layers, it'll really start glowing. So again, Mama Bear, I'm not going to be able to have this completely on camera. It is just too big for all on camera. Ah, shoot fire. Good thing I caught that.
Good thing you did.
Alright. Am I firm enough? Oh yeah, I broke. Did I bring the foam over? No. I got this one. Right, I'm gonna have to move this back. So I'll do this. Alright, let's see how far I can. You guys just may not be able to see it up close like the other two. Maybe I can do it this way. Alright, so right here I had an indent. Hey Spence! I had an indent in the wood. That's how it was when I bought it, and I had mentioned that I wanted to apply moss. So I spent a long time. This is the only time I'll be able to show you.
What about that one time that you're applying moss, and I thought it was too much, and I was like, no moss,
no moss, no moss. Alright, I'm trying to move some stuff so I don't knock over my water. Plus I noticed my brush is a little dirty. See, if you don't put the fixative on the wood before, it can get dirtier. So I'm going to wipe it off. Get as much pulled off as I can. Okay, I'm going to keep this nearby. So, for this one, because I need to brush onto the bark, I'm only going to do one side of the bark at a time. So when I flip to do the other side, to do the next coat, that's when I'll do the other side of the bark. But I guess for now, especially since I don't want my brush drying off, I'm going to start with the top. So you can see how much I put there. It's not a whole lot. Make sure my brush is wet. Start moving this around. I'm probably going to need to add more further down. And once I get enough of this on, then I will fix my strokes. For now.
One thing, you might have already said it.
What's that?
So one thing that's always concerning to me is that it looks like it's opaque.
Yeah.
So you start brushing it out. But then also something else is that it's self-leveling.
It's, yep.
And so as long as you put on enough
comfortable coat.
Yeah, and you're careful with your brush strokes, those brush strokes are by and large going to disappear. And if you go too thin, you definitely still get the brush strokes. But if there's enough for it to self-level, then it definitely does. And it looks great.
Oops, I forgot to wipe the board down. Oh well. Hopefully.
It's too late.
Yep, too late. Well, technically I am brushing the board down.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I did not add any white to this piece. Let's see here. How?
It always amazes me because, like, when you're working on, and this comes down to knowing your media, like knowing what you're gonna, how different things affect the process. Is that it darkens up the burning pretty considerably.
Yeah.
And so you have to be aware of that as the artist and know how far to go with the original burning, knowing that it's going to darken somewhat. It is the same process that painters use, like for acrylic painters like me. Paint intensity changes when a paint dries. And so you have to understand what that change is going to be and plan for it. So if you need something, to be a specific color, you kind of have to also account for the drying process. And also for the varnishing process, too. But, in pyrography, it is a delicate balance of knowing when to stop, how far to take your burn, because of how dark that it's going to get. And all the darks that were like, they look pretty decently dark, but now that you've applied the varnish, they're so rich and beautiful, and it changes the piece in such a good way.
Which is why I wipe down with denatured alcohol. It's not going to give me the exact. Might be easier to use a smaller brush for this one.
Yeah.
To get into the bark. Because I just dirtied up this brush. And I need to be able to go back to the pumpkin. Yeah, I should have used... I may have to run in the kitchen, leave you guys for a minute, run in the kitchen and clean off this brush, because I don't want to touch this brush to any other piece or even the top of this piece, because...
Right, to clean it
yeah,
after you get done?
Yeah, because
I can do that.
Because it's already dirty.
I can do that. And I'll hang it by the fireplace.
No. I need it back in here because I'm going to use it.
Oh. You're just cleaning it with warm soapy water?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, this is water-based, so that's the only thing I need to clean it with is warm soapy water.
Okay. Oh, I can do that. That way you don't...
Run it around in your hand in the soap.
Yep. We will do that.
Let's see here. Would it be easier? This is a lot of bark.
Did you already varnish this piece over here?
Yeah, those are already varnished. The first layer. My studio is so hot because I need these to dry.
Well, yeah.
Plus, you really don't want to varnish in a cold area if you can help it. We've been unseasonably warm. Normally, when I do finish a piece in the winter, I wait to varnish until it warms up. But we're so warm. But
Spence, she's putting Liquitex varnish on.
Yeah, I'll show the bottle in a minute.
Is this gloss?
This is gloss.
Yeah. We prefer gloss. Some people prefer matte or semi-gloss. But both of us, we really like how gloss looks.
I can tell, for me, I have a hard time trying to get the camera to pick it up, but I can tell when a piece has been varnished with something other than gloss.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they put additives in it to cut the gloss. And so by the time you get down to matte, it's got some pretty good levels of... It's got more additive in it to cut it. And what I have found, and again, I know that if you like a different finish type, you know, semi-gloss, which I used for years. If you're happy with it, then definitely finish your bottle, you know. But I have found, so we can see the piece looking straight on, right? No problems, doesn't matter what the varnish level is, you can see the piece. But when you come walking up from the side of a piece before you make your straight on to look at it, matte and semi-gloss, and what's the other one?
Satin.
Satin, thank you. They will actually cut your viewing area. So people, it kind of
forces people to look at it from a specific angle.
Yeah.
Which is usually direct on.
And which is fine. You want them to look direct on. But close this. I'm checking. I can't touch this part now, and I probably have enough varnish on the bark. I'm not overly worried about the bark. Just enough varnish to protect it. I definitely recommend using a smaller brush for the bark. Alright, so you said you don't mind going and cleaning off the brush?
Yep, I got you.
Because I don't want to have any, you can see, even with the little amount of varnish I did use, there's quite a bit on this brush.
So, before I go, Greg says the hard part is having your lights go darker or balance for sure.
Yeah.
Spence says I couldn't get gloss where I am, and he had to settle for satin.
Well, here, I can do that. Well,
oh.
So I don't want it to dry on the brush.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm going to clean this, and then I'll dry it as much as possible.
And bring it back.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Yep.
I'm going to move the bear. Yes.
Hubcap.
Do the hubcap job. I'm going to bring back the pumpkins. Got to very carefully pick that up. Swing it around. Mama Bear won't be back on camera varnish wise because she's going to have to sit longer, and I knew that. That's why we started with this little piece. And again, we're in Arizona. It's going to, our humidity is really low, so it's going to dry so much quicker for me. And it's definitely something you need to keep in mind. Come on. Refocus. I may have to bring this down. It'll probably just be easier if I do that. There we go. Hopefully that's a better focus. My goal is to hopefully be able to get a second coat on this. So we're going to have to talk while we wait for this to dry. You don't want to use a hair dryer or a heat gun to try to speed up the process. You really just need to leave it. Even if you... Let's see, I'll bounce the light as much as I can. Let's see, looking for it. Sorry, we got a family group text coming in. I don't know if you're hearing the computer bing. Let's see here. See, right at the top where the glare is, we can see it didn't get as varnished, which is fine. Oh, for this next layer, which it's only been 30 minutes. Let me check the humidity. When I go to do my next layer, I flip it to the opposite of what it was, so that I start here and drag this way. We started on this side and went to this side. So this time I'll start on this side and pull it to this side. And this also helps make it a little easier for any places it may have missed or didn't, you know, go down as well on the first round. It allows it for the second one. See, like right here, I can see some not as... Yeah, I'm not going to be able to pick it up right now, which is fine. Excuse me. But we can see it did go deeper. Each layer that I apply, that I add to this, it will go deeper. That's why the burning, which is why I tend to go 4 rounds. I'm sorry about that. I was checking the family text. So right now, our humidity it says we're at 30%, which is 28%. It's a little high for us, but compared to other places around the country and around the world, 38's pretty dry. Let's see here. Yep. So what else we got? So Spence is using it on his carvings, but I have to sand it because it feels rough. You can sand. I mean, the beauty for the flat piece is we don't have to sand in between layers, but I could see that might being a little different for an actual carving. Maybe try applying I guess your first layer and doing a little sanding would be fine, but then your subsequent layers should be smoother, I would think, but I don't know. I haven't used it on a carving yet. I was going to say something now. I spaced it. So in the thumbnail, let me see. Since we're just sitting here waiting, I'll check the Grand Canyon and see if that's going. Yeah, see, you can tell when it starts drying because it, doesn't look wet like before. Oh, that's pretty dry. We might actually do the Grand Canyon. We'll see. It might take a little bit longer because of the really darks here. I mean, it's dry to the touch. So we'll go ahead and do it when Hubcap brings the brush back. And then, so you saw me do one layer, one coat for 3 pieces of 3 different sizes. This is like a 8x10. The Grand Canyon, I believe, is either a 12 or 14. And then Mama Bear is 31x13. Plus the bark. So it only takes a little bit of varnish. And when you're dipping into a container to get the varnish, you're picking up more, so you're putting a thicker coat on. And for like Minwax, both oil and water based, I think it's up to 4 layers. They don't recommend you to do more than 4 layers of varnish. With this, you can do as many as you want. This says 2 to 3 coats. but you can actually do, I've gone up to 7. And it almost gives it a resin feel.
If you want a dry one, there's this one and then that one. And I dried it as much as I could. This one's completely dry and clean.
It's clean? Is it dusty though?
No. You check.
Of course I'll check. Because I don't want no dust.
I'll put your brush up there.
Thank you. We might actually be able to get to the Grand Canyon too. It's drying pretty quick. I actually bought a varnish brush, but I don't know where it's at right now. Which really sucks. Because I wanted to use it.
Wingman 115.
Hmm?
Oh, I'm assuming you read all these comments?
Hey, Wingman! No. I haven't read.
Okay.
Third layer.
Spence uses varnish on his carvings, but he has to sand it because it feels rough.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to Spence because I know why he's having the issue.
Yeah, he sanded
I think.
the 3rd layer. And then Wingman says, greetings all, I've been using Minwax polyacrylic for years.
So did I.
It's held up really well for years. I don't notice any yellowing or discoloration. And Andrea says, cool.
Yeah.
With a K.
Yeah.
She's super cool.
Wingman. Minwax, I didn't have the polyacrylic. I didn't have a problem with discoloration or yellowing either. But believe it or not, you will get a bit of fading on your burning. Unfortunately, with this is specific for artwork, and I'm not poo-pooing Minwax, but like I said, I used it for how long? Let's see, I've been burning for 20 years. I used Minwax for 17 years. And I guess I like the Liquitex looks better if I compare the two. Alright, let's get some more on here. I think that's about all we need. So again, let's pay attention to our darks. You'll also notice, because this board was curved because of me using heat, hot air, and now the board is flattening out. And that's because the varnish, regardless of brand, does slightly wet the wood. And so the grain is relaxing. Like this was really curled. Let's check. Get my edges. I'm not worried about like varnishing my edges this time around. I do want a little bit more right here, right here, right there. And Minwax isn't self-leveling. This is, so you don't have to worry about that. And this bottle goes a long way. So if you want to try both, I definitely would recommend that. Alright, we got enough down there. Looking. Some of the grain just put it in there. Now drag. And I'm just making sure it's all covered. I'm trying to keep myself from continuously touching it, because then you can kind of mess it up.
Yeah.
So just leave it.
Yeah,
you'll get it on the next round.
Well, and it might just self-level.
Yeah, it'll self-level. If you look like you missed a spot.
Wingman says, I will have to pick me up a bottle and try it out. Thanks for the info.
Mm-hmm. It definitely makes things easier. I don't have to, careful, sand in between layers. Don't have to worry about brush strokes. Okay, don't come back. Like you're really close to the bear right here. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and do a second coat. I'm going to pull this back on the Grand Canyon. Now we went this way the first time around. We went this way, so we are going to turn. And we're going to brush this way towards ourselves. This bottle really does last a long time, which I appreciate, because it's not cheap. I think right now this bottle is $17, but it really does last. Alright, brushing it around, just getting it smeared around, and then we'll brush it out. Soft hand. Start on the edge and lightly drag, following the grain. I don't think we're going to be able to do the bear again. Am I going the wrong direction? I am. I'm a dork. Somebody was probably yelling at me, "Wrong way!" And I finally heard you. Luckily, we just change our direction. Again, it's going to be cloudy, but then it's going to clear up. The cloudiness actually helps, because then you can see where you've been. Again, I bounce the light to see if I've gotten everything. And if I missed a spot, I'm not going to stress. You'll see bubbles. Again, this is for Liquitex. If you're using the Minwax, most of the bubbles will go away. And I think that's part of the reason, besides for adherence, that you do a little sanding in between layers, is to calm the bubbles. But with the Minwax, we don't have to worry about that. They will take care of themselves. I'm just moving so I can see. Yeah, see, I can already see it leveling. I know you guys can't see it. Yeah, in Canada it does cost a little bit more. You can get it at any art store. I believe you can also get it at like Walmart too. But they do really last. So let's see. Our whites are looking good. I'm just trying to see what you guys see. My wood hasn't darkened because, again, I pre-sprayed 2 coats with the Krylon Fine Art Fixative, which locks down any loose material, whether it's white or burning carbon that may still be on the board. Oop, I just saw this. Good thing I looked. I'm going to wipe carefully my edge. Very carefully if I can. Since I have stuff dripping off the edge, that tells me that I got a nice good layer. And that's also why I have the board up off of any newspaper. Nothing should be touching the edges. Now I need to check. Yeah, so I can wipe if I need to. These are going to show next weekend. They will be at the Desert Woodcarving Show in Mesa, Arizona. So I want to make sure my edges are clean. There's no drips happening. The pumpkins are going to be framed, so I'm not worried about that. But this is not framed. Alright, we're good to go. Yep, all good. I see no drips. Because I've got it up off of the paper, I didn't have to worry about it adhering itself. Again, I have adhered paper.
Burl's here.
Hey, Burl. And foam for that matter. But it's mainly paper. Actually, paper. I have adhered newspaper to the back of my burning because I didn't pay attention to the drips and I had it sitting directly on newspaper. So, let's see here. I'm going to bring back the pumpkins so we can check the self-leveling. Hopefully you can see that it really is self-leveling it. And then the next layer of varnish, I will do it this way, the opposite side, still going with the grain. Hopefully you can see how it's starting to also glow. It's kind of hard to get it to while it's wet.
Well, I think what's cool about woodworks in general is that there's the natural shine of the wood.
Yeah.
That comes through when it's oiled or varnished, and it's like the curly parts of curly maple, you know, those kind of things. And so varnish helps bring that out as well, and it adds another dimension or another aspect to your work.
See, I have the grain pop up pretty good on this one, so it's probably going to take at least 4. I'm actually going to turn this because I see it's kind of going up because now it's wet on top and dry on the bottom.
Okay, I think Greg is asking your fixative link is actually for Liquitex also. Would it be the matte?
Oh shoot, I screwed that up.
Would it be matte or reworkable gloss for the fixative?
Well, all the fixative is matte. You can't get around that, unfortunately. Look for 1374. And I'm going to try to quickly fix that.
Burl has a question also. She's asking if you seal both sides.
I don't normally, but I was going to try that.
There is different thoughts about sealing both sides.
Yeah.
Some people do not because they say that it allows the wood to breathe and expand and contract as it needs to. And others say that if you seal the whole piece of wood, that it preserves it better.
I do need to test it.
I don't know.
Well, let me see.
I think that if you were going to have something out in the elements, sealing all sides of something would
Absolutely.
be, necessary, like a sign or something like that. But, Valarie's original pyrography work isn't going to be hung outside as a sign except for by a maniac,
Oh, I see. I see what I did. Thank you, Greg.
But I think that if you are...
Fixed.
I think that if you're sealing a piece of artwork, I think that one side is probably sufficient. I think you could seal, I think, the front and the sides if you wanted, because...
Well, I do the sides in general.
But I'm not sure if it's actually necessary to seal the back. But
And I don't know that Pat's wrong, bro. I definitely need to test it before I recommend it.
But there are some who say that you seal both sides, that it doesn't allow the wood to breathe.
Which here would be fine because we're dry in general.
And it could lead to cracking.
Yep.
That is the reasoning behind only sealing or leaving the back open, at least. But
I need to test it before I recommend it.
It's gonna be one of those things that until you test it, you're not gonna know definitively, because
different locations, like we were talking, you're in a rainforest. Although with Liquitex, it does say that it is.
Is it permeable?
It is flexible.
Okay.
So that could make a difference.
Well, and it certainly is flexible, because I use it on canvas all the time, and it doesn't crack. I've got pieces that have been sealed for almost a decade now. Using Liquitex, and there's no signs of yellowing or cracking or anything.
Yeah, so with the Liquitex, you probably can, because it is meant to go on either wood or canvas. This is specifically made to go on wood as well, because painters use wood for canvas too.
Yeah.
So it says do not thin with water. Here, well, we know this is dry, so I'm not worried about that. I know on Liquitex's website, which is liquitex.com. I can't. If I put on my autofocus, I think, because I've got the camera raised pretty high. Down we go. Come on, focus. Focus. Do your job, camera.
I will say that as a painter, we are warned not to ever seal the backside of our work.
Yeah.
Because it makes it inflexible, or less flexible, and does not allow it to breathe, the work to breathe. But that's canvas, which, it's cloth.
Yeah, wood different.
Which is different than wood. So, who knows?
Normally I would throw this in water as quick as I could, and I will. This is almost like watching paint dry.
Well, it kind of is.
It kind of is. Yeah.
You're watching. I do so love, and this is my favorite part of any work.
Well, yeah, because you get to see it.
Because it is a finishing touch, and then also, the burden of wanting to go back and change a piece.
Well, it ends now.
Ends when you put clear on. So if you weren't sure that you're finished, you are now.
Well, for me, it ended when I put the fixative on.
Well, yeah.
And I did fix that in the description. I fixed the link.
Yeah.
Thank you, Greg. Let's see here. Just don't want anything to stick.
But I really enjoy putting on the clear, because it is, because it brings out the more character of the work, and it makes it look so much better.
Well, your vision gets to be complete.
I think too, like for canvas and partially for wood as well, like what happens with canvas that's not finished, like that if it's not cleared, it's not varnished, the light will tend to hit the stitch pattern in the canvas, which somewhat diffuses the color. And what the varnish does is it helps combat that a little bit.
Equal everything out.
And so you see all the colors brighter and deeper. I mean, it helps intensify the colors. In photography, you can see how much it deepens those colors, and especially the darks. It makes them very dark.
Yeah, I'm bringing Mama Bear over.
Just so you know, you're coming up on noon.
I know. I'm just bringing Mama Bear over so they can see it.
Gotcha.
I'm not going to add another layer right now because I need to. It's pretty dry to the touch right now.
You know, it'd be a good prank.
What's that?
Is that you have like two. I mean, the toasties would be in on it because we're talking about it. But to have two identical pieces of wood, and you have your real piece on one, and then just have a horrible like stick figure bear, like pyrographied in, and then you'd be like, okay, I'm applying it, and then let's see what it looks like, and then you switch it out for the stick figure, and you're like, oh no, the varnish changed it.
I'm trying to cut the glare. It's just harder because this piece is so big.
So Burl says, woohoo, we are going to change the daylight savings on Saturday night, and we aren't going to change it back till fall. Our feed is going to be 11 years. We're not going to change it back in the fall.
Oh!
Is Canada...
I guess they're fixing theirs. Let me grab...
11 a.m. all year round.
Greg, yes, it's UV protecting. In fact, both products that I've used are UV protecting. So I don't have to spray UV spray after this.
Yeah, I wish they would do away with daylight savings because it was something that, Benjamin Franklin came up with or whatever?
Yeah, well, it is... Well...
For farmers?
No, that's not exactly...
Well, basically, so that... Yeah, but... Yeah, we don't need it. We don't need it anymore.
Let me I'm trying to lighten this up so you guys can better see it. I just realized I was zoomed in. Come on. Now he's too bright. Because of the angle, I'm not able to get it exactly right. Yep. Let's go with 3. Anyway, he looks so much better in person. He really does. It's just we can't see that right now.
What else says it's a Western Canada thing? British Columbia has broke away from Washington, Oregon, and California.
Yeah, I don't know why it's coming in fuzzy, but it's a big piece and there's a lot going on. No white was added to her. No white. Let's see here. I'm trying to make it where you guys can better see, and I just can't. But I did fix this. I'm so much happier with this area. I know it's hard for you guys to... Let's do that. You can see where I've added moss, and this still needs to dry. But the green that's in the bark, that's where I added moss, and I didn't want to go crazy with it. And it's added on both sides. I super glued that bark in. I also did it down here in some areas, but I left other areas where the bark fell off because that's a natural part of wood. So I didn't stress about that. Let's see if I can... But this is darker in person, and I can't wait to get the good photos so you guys can see like the highlight along the tree glows, especially with the varnish now. Again, 3 more coats are going on this one. Thank you, Spence. Thank you, Burrow. I've only had good things with the Liquitex varnish, which is why I recommend it. I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting anything from them. It's not sponsored. It's just this is what I use on my pieces. Used polyacrylic for 17 plus years, but I'm really liking the Liquitex and less work. Let's see how.
Bro wants to know, how do you know it's a female?
Because this original photo has 2 baby cubs in it with mama. I cut them out because you couldn't clearly see their face. Their heads were mainly behind the tree. So I redid this photo. So that's how I know she's mama. That's how I know she's female. She had her cubs with her in this photo. So, I still do need to figure out a name for this piece. And I just... No, it's not that I didn't want the babies. You couldn't see their face. And because I wanted to have bigger eyes, because you know how bears have smaller eyes, and this was such a big piece, I needed to be able to zoom in. The babies in the photo wouldn't even fit on the board based on their location. So it was an artistic choice I needed to make. You couldn't see their faces, and because one of them was down in the grass, the other one actually was up, like standing, leaning on the tree, but was not looking at the camera, and it just would have taken away from. So that's why I had to make that artistic choice. Not that I didn't want the babies.
I have to go.
Yeah, I do too. I've been standing.
Toasties, it's good. Good to see you guys. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, he definitely looks like he got the right scratching spot on the back. I really want to see. I'm going to take really good photos. Put out that vibe. He's going to end up at the end of the table with all the big blue ribbons. That be the goal. Let's see here. Let's check Grand Canyon. Okay, so you guys can see the bubbles are not an issue. And it's already drying. I know there's that glare. And 2 coats for the pumpkin. I'll pump that back on, pop that on real quick. There we go. Yeah. At least 1 more coat, but probably 2. Alrighty. Whew. The varnishing will be done today, and then I will just let them sit in their space. Alrighty, kiddos. Hopefully that helped. Thank you, Spence. Thank you, Andrea. Ugh. I have no idea. Oh, next week is Members Live. We gotta figure out what we're doing about that. But for now, say it with me. You're awesome. You can do this. Why? You're a pyro artist. A burning Happy birthday.